Yo, what's up? We're back, and this week it's to break down UFC on ESPN plus 12, Moicano versus Korean Zombie. And first off, I just want to say we're still doing the same exact promotion this week on MMA Odds Breakers with Kyle Marley, where if you buy his premium pick and you use the promo code GURU, you will get mine and his breakdown for DraftKings for free. I know that a lot of people ask me about DraftKings, so if you do buy his premium pick with that code name, you'll get the free DraftKings write-up, and you will get a money-back guarantee if the bets don't cash. So that is a good opportunity for you guys that are fans of DraftKings. But we're just going to get right into the first fight with Andre Youul taking on Anderson dos Santos. And, Andre Youul, he needs to bounce back from that first loss he had in the UFC. He fought two, pretty big names, Renan Barão, then he fought Nathaniel Wood. And in his last fight, though, he was dominated. He kind of had his grappling exposed a little bit, but he's still a big, long bantamweight. He has good speed. He has knockout power. He's fast. He's powerful. And he has a nice jab. He has a really good straight right hand. He'll throw the 1-2 down the middle very nice. And he's definitely more of a counter striker. He likes to try to wait for opponents to strike, come over the top with straight punches. He's good at striking going backwards. He could switch stances, create new angles to land shots, and he will move backwards, switch stances, and drive on his back foot, spring really quickly into a very nice left hand. He likes to throw head kicks from southpaw, and after he lands the left hand, it's kind of like he can earn guys' respect, back him off, and that's when he starts to get better, when he can go forward, be a little bit more free with the striking. And he does a great job countering in the pocket with shovel hooks, uppercuts. But he does tend to be a bit flat-footed. I feel that could play into the hands of Anderson dos Santos. And, he's willing to trade in the pocket. He definitely has good power and a good chin. He's never been finished by strikes. But Anderson is a guy that you don't really want to trade in the pocket with. And for Youul, his grappling is improving, but, it's still a huge hole in his game. He leaves his leg easily available to be single-legged and definitely lets fighters close the distance on him way too quickly with body locks or double legs. He's a little bit harder to take down when he finds his range because his punches makes it harder for fighters to get inside. He is long. He's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage here. And he does have pretty good front chokes. He'll try front headlocks, guillotines to defend takedowns. But, he shows bad IQ. He will go to his back with those guillotines. And off his back, he's green. He will throw up triangles. He has decent get-ups against the cage. And he's long. And due to that, he doesn't have a terrible guard. He has decent guard retention, recovery, but no get-ups outside of using the cage. If he's out in the center of the cage, he's basically flat on his back. And Nathaniel Wood, he was able to easily control him in round 2, and then he submitted him in the 3rd round. And, he was able to take him down with body locks against the cage pretty easily. Youul gave his back trying to stand up, and he got rear naked choked in that fight. But for Youul, he's going to need to control the center, outpoint dos Santos. He is going to be the faster fighter. He has more hand speed. He's longer. And if he can keep dos Santos on the outside, use stance switching, counter punching, he definitely has power, and if he can land clean, he could get the knockout here. Dos Santos does come hard. He comes really straightforward, so, Youul definitely has that chance to get the knockout. And for Anderson dos Santos, he lost that decision to Nadir Armani in his debut, but that was on short notice at 145. It was a good fight, too, and now he's back at 135. He's had a full camp, so he should be more ready for this fight. And he's a dangerous Muay Thai striker. He definitely likes to plant his feet in the center and wing punches. Fast hands. He throws all his shots full power, though. He doesn't really throw many jabs or setups. Instead, he just uses counter hooks, straight punches. And he has a really nasty right hook, a very nice check left hook. His straight right hand has big power. He dropped Ricky Simone with that. He choked him out right after it. He's very good at that, dropping people, going right into submissions. And no problem throwing down in the pocket. He's very calm in a war, fast hand speeds, and his straights and hooks are just dangerous. He will rarely throw kicks, but he was throwing a leg kick in his last fight. He doesn't really move his head much, though, and he's an emotional fighter, so when he gets hit, he wants to get it back. He doesn't have the best defense. And against Andre Youul, he needs to be able to blend his game, use those times. He can get Youul to trade, to duck down into a level change, and, just switch it up a little bit. He can't be as emotional because Youul definitely has the power to knock him out. He can get clipped as he moves into range, but he has a good chin. He'll continue to press forward. He has great cardio. And he's always pushing opponents backwards, keeping them on the back foot. but his style always leaves him kind of open to be finished by strikes. He has 5 knockouts, and he has been finished 3 times himself by knockout. But he's a good grappler. He has good clinch control. Does a good job using straight punches to close the distance, getting on double legs against a cage. He will dig an underhook, land knees, try to dump an opponent to one side or take the back standing as well. And he has nice sneaky elbows, punches off the break. And he's good on top. He looks to move the mount. He has heavy ground and pound. He will get a high guard. He has great pounds. He can control the mount very well. He will force punches, get their backs, get the rear naked choke, and he's a very good rear naked choke. He got one on Ricky Simone after he dropped him. And if he drops you and goes on the ground with you, he's very likely going to get a submission. He's very good at that. And I feel like he's going to try to take top position here against Youul. He has 11 submissions, and he's only been submitted once. And, I see him trying to make the fight ugly, use forward pressure, walk Youul down, take a shot to give one, look for takedowns. And I feel like if he can back you up near the cage, he has a good chance of getting a takedown and a submission or winning the round with the takedown. He definitely can't allow Youul space and the time to get his range. He has to start fast, keep the fight at close range. And I'm going to go with Anderson dos Santos here via submission. I see him being able to win this fight with his mental game, forward pressure, grappling. I think he's the tougher guy. I think Youul's going to back up. He's going to force Youul to brawl. He's going to land some big shots, get the takedown, and I think if he can get the back, he's going to lock in a rear naked choke. So I'm going to go with Anderson dos Santos via second round submission. I did put a bet on Anderson dos Santos at like plus 195, I believe. I'm going to have to double check that exact line, but something similar to that. And he's now bet all the way down to almost a pick'em. So that's, a lot of value that I got on the line there. And obviously a lot of people are seeing what I'm seeing and picking Anderson dos Santos to win here. So I'm going with Anderson dos Santos via second round submission. And up next on the card is actually Winn against Eric Spicely. And that fight just got announced, so I haven't gotten to watch. I know how Eric Spicely fights, but I kind of want to refresh myself a little bit. I am leaning definitely towards Winn to get the win there. But I'm going to reserve my pick. I'll give you the pick on Friday when I do the post-weigh-in breakdown, and I'll do a breakdown for that fight. But definitely I'm leaning Winn. I was going to pick Winn to beat Bruno Silva. But we're going to move on here to Molly McCann against Ariane Lipsky. And, this fight, to me, I really wasn't too invested in this fight. But, Molly McCann, she's a girl that's very tough. Obviously, we saw her fight with Priscilla Cachoeira, where it was a bit of a war. She was coming forward early. She definitely got the better of her with the combinations, with the movement, her hand speed, and she got a couple takedowns. She even had a close armbar attempt. That was a big improvement from her first fight where she got submitted, put to sleep very quickly against Jillian Robertson. But, Priscilla Cachoeira, obviously everyone knows, most likely that's seen her fight. She's not very good, she plods forward. She's basically a punching bag, and she was landing some big shots on McCann. She broke McCann's orbital, really busted up her face really badly, and, that's not a great sign, especially when Cachoeira is winning the third round. And, McCann in this fight, I feel like, when Ariane Lipsky fought Joanne Calderwood, Joanne really frustrated her with her lateral movement, and Ariane Lipsky looked like she maybe got octagon jitters a little bit. She wasn't moving her feet. She looked like she was kind of in quicksand, and she was getting taken down very easily. And I just feel like now she's getting her second opportunity here in the UFC. She's taking on a much lesser opponent in Meatball McCann, and I feel like McCann doesn't have the movement that JoJo has, where I think that this fight's going to be, more of a brawl, more the way that Ariane wants it. I think she's going to be able to, keep it in close range more and just land the more significant shots. I definitely think she's the better athlete. She has the faster hand speed, and she throws with more variety. And I just don't think McCann's going to be able to take her down. I don't think McCann's going to be able to, outstrike her. I just don't see her boxing being enough against Lipsky. I think Lipsky's going to be the one coming forward. I think Lipsky hits harder. She has a 5-inch reach advantage in this fight. I think she's going to use that to cut off the cage, keep McCann at her range, use her faster hand speed, her faster, kick. She could also kick. She could fight at a distance better than Molly McCann. And, I just think this is a good fight for Ariane Lipsky to get her first win here. McCann is definitely tough, and you have to be, definitely weary of someone like that, because she will throw everything into her shot. She'll throw in combination. She'll keep the pressure high. She'll always come forward, and she's never going to give up. So you have to be, ready physically and mentally to know that you're going to be in there for a long night. You're going to have most likely a war, even if it's, you know, I guess you can't say it. Jillian Robertson had a very easy fight with McCann, but if it's on the feet, I think McCann's going to come in. She's going to give it a go. She's going to have a war with her, and I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be on the feet, and I just think Lipsky is a little bit more polished. She has the reach. She's faster, and, I think she's going to be able to get it into close quarters where she wants it, win the battle in close range because she's faster with the reach advantage, hits harder. And, I just think she's kind of going to boss the fight a little bit, win a decision here. So I'm going with Ariane Lipsky to get the win here, but don't really like the line. I would never bet Lipsky minus 265, but I'm going Ariane Lipsky via decision. Up next in this fight, this is a heavyweight fight between Alan Crowder and Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and I see a lot of people have a lot of confidence in Biggie Boy this week, and I do not share that confidence, man. I've been going back and forth on this fight, but, Biggie Boy, he's going to look to build off of his knockout in his UFC debut. He was able to finish Junior Baby Albini in round 2, and he is undefeated at 7-0. He's had 82 kickboxing fights, so obviously everyone, that hears that knows he wants to keep it on the feet, stay off his back. Obviously, in his last fight, he was taken down really early in the fight, like the first 20 seconds against Junior Albini, controlled on the ground for the majority of that round, so that's definitely a weakness in his game. But he has good stand-up, he has heavy inside-outside leg kicks, he has a great jab, definitely has power in his hands. He'll throw a jab-right hook or a jab-overhand-right combination that's very nice. Powerful counter left hook, nice uppercut left hook. And he's fleet of foot for a big man. He can close the distance quickly. He'll throw occasional head kicks, flying knees. And he's good at throwing front kicks to the body, to the head. He controls the center pretty well. He has a good shot selection. In his last fight, he was able to land an uppercut, left hook, head kick combination that took out Junior Albini. It was pretty explosive. And, Rozenstruik is a bit heavy on his lead leg. He has been, hit with a few leg kicks before. He seems to worry about the takedown at times, and opponents can kind of land hooks, overhands over the top. So I think that a smart thing to do against Biggie Boy is to fake takedowns and come over the top with punches. But he has shown a good chin, he has good forward pressure, and he has 6 knockouts and his 7 wins. His grappling, though, is very questionable. His takedown defense is not good. He was taken down multiple times in round 1 by Baby Albini. Albini was able to land a single leg, a body lock. He was able to pass his guard into side control. He even attacked with a Kimura. He took his back, all in round 1. So, to me, Junior Albini isn't like Jacare Silva, man. Or Jacare Suzy. He isn't like Fabricio Verdub. So, that's not a great sign. But, Jairzinho was able to turn in, take top position when Albini took his back. And when he fought this guy, Sergey Kovalev, on the regional scene, who's pretty decent. He was 9-0. He was taken down in round 2 with a double leg. He couldn't get up. And Kovalev was able to land that takedown directly into side control. He landed some nice knees, elbows. But he did deny Kovalev from taking mount. And he didn't panic, even though he couldn't stand up. He was able to breathe in there, just defend himself enough to make it to the next round. And in the third round, he was able to deny the takedown, land a body lock of his own, and he looked pretty heavy in top position. He postured up, he rained down some big elbows. And in this fight, I definitely see Crowder trying to use a grappling-heavy game plan, so Jairzinho has to be ready to sprawl. He has to be ready to, keep his distance, defend the takedowns, and his cardio is good. He can go all 3 rounds pretty hard. He was able, like I said, to win round 3 in a 1-1 fight against another undefeated fighter in Andrei Kovalev. And Rozenstruik is going to look to keep this fight on the feet. He has a major advantage there. Faster hand speed and foot speed, more variety in his striking. He also has the ability to explode, close the show with one flurry. And solid cardio. He paces himself well. Definitely needs to stay off his back, cut Crowder off, and just take him out with a combination, man. But Alan Crowder, he raised his stock in his last match. He had a high-profile fight against Greg Hardy. He fared pretty well. He was winning the fight on the scorecards. He looked like he may have been on his way to finishing Hardy. And Hardy landed an illegal knee in round 2. He was disqualified. So Crowder got the win that way. But that was Crowder's first UFC win. He has trained at the UFC PI for this camp. He says he's being more of a professional now. And people don't tend to give Crowder much credit or respect. But, to me, he's been improving. He's a tough guy. He's going to come in here to win. He's not going to lay down. We saw that against Greg Hardy. He took some big shots. Was sticking his tongue out at Hardy, talking shit. He's definitely not going to fold. You're going to have to take him out. And, his striking is not very good. He doesn't try to circle away from the... He does try to circle away from the power hand, walk opponents into shots. Decent jab 1-2. He throws a lot of inside leg kicks, left hooks. He isn't bad at slipping punches or returning with a straight right hand or a left hook, but he just isn't a great athlete. He has slow feet. His hand speed isn't good. He holds his hands low, and he slips well, like I said, but when he's tagged, he gets hurt. It's heavyweight. And he does have a good chin, in my opinion. He took Greg Hardy's biggest shots. He was trying to goad him into a war. He was knocked out by Justin Willis in his UFC debut, and he has 3 knockout losses. But like I said, with that style at heavyweight, if you get chin checked, you're going to get knocked out. I definitely think his chin isn't that bad. He has 5 knockouts himself, but definitely wouldn't say he's a power puncher. I see Crowder trying to grapple in this fight. He has decent single legs in space, body locks against the cage, and he's very good at staying on an opponent in a scramble. He has great cardio for a heavyweight. I was saying Jairzinho has great cardio, but Crowder has, even better cardio. He has he's not a great fighter, but I would say he has almost elite level cardio for a heavyweight because he could just push the pace, man. And some of these scrambles, these extended scrambles where he can use his cardio to win them, end up on top, that's just all heart. That's just, just wanting it more. But he isn't very dangerous on top. He has decent jiu-jitsu and control. Likes to get crossbody and half guard. He will try to move to mount or side control. He was able to get the crucifix position against Greg Hardy for a little bit, but overall he didn't do many damaging shots, and Hardy was able to get out of there. And he can't get too aggressive trying to transition to dominant positions, get reversed. He was reversed a couple times by Dontel Mays. He was shucked off his back Greg Hardy shucked him off of his own back. But he does have faith in his jiu-jitsu. If he sees a submission, he will go for it. He went for a jumping guillotine against Greg Hardy. He also attacked with a triangle. He has a good Kimura. And he has 3 submissions. He's never been submitted. And Crowder needs to push this pace in this fight. He has to respect Biggie Boy's power, but he can't respect it too much. He has to back him up towards the cage and grind. I think that his leg kicks could potentially be useful here, but he has to set them up with his punches or feints, and I feel like he should also, feint takedowns, come over the top with punches. But he is a better wrestler and jiu-jitsu player. He needs to use his singles against the cage to take Jairzinho down, grind him out, or his body locks. I don't know if he can hold Jairzinho down early, but if he can continue to stay connected, make him work, I think he has the better cardio. He can't stay in space. He has to be careful whenever they're at striking range, and I actually think this is a close fight, man. I think that Crowder's a chance to make it ugly if he sticks to a game plan and just be smart. I don't trust his fight IQ over 3 rounds to win this fight, though. I feel that at some point he's going to get a takedown defended and get, stole on or end up on his back in a scramble, maybe get pounded out. I just think Biggie Boy is the better athlete. He's stronger, and he has a better striking technique. And if he can defend a couple takedowns, he should find a knockout sometime over the 3 rounds. So I'm going to go with Jairzinho Rozenstruik, but definitely would not bet on him at that high. I think those odds are crazy. I think if anything, you should bet on Crowder. And, I think it's going to be a close fight until Jairzinho gets the knockout. So I'm going with Jairzinho Rozenstruik via knockout. And up next, we have a really kind of a weird fight, with Luis Peña against Matt Weidman. And, Matt Wyman's coming back after 5 years off, but Luis Peña is making a quick turnaround. He had a decision victory over Steven Peterson, and he's back up at 55s. He missed weight at 45. He looked terrible for that fight, and he is 6'3". The idea of him making featherweight was just not very smart, but I expect him to be better, fight more often at 155, and Peña's going to be welcoming back Matt Weidman, like I said, and he looked solid in his last fight. He's young in his career, so I expect, big improvements. And Peña's going to be, this is going to be an interesting test for him. When he was fighting, with Matt Weidman was fighting, it was very rare to see such a long, athletic lightweight. And Weidman always struggled to close the distance. He's facing a young guy who has a lot of those intangibles, but he's still, learning to put it together. So if Peña smokes Weidman, that should be an indicator that, this comeback maybe is a bad idea for Weidman. And if Peña can't win this fight, that could maybe be, an idea that Peña is maybe not going to stick around in the UFC very long. But Peña will try to stay long, technical, and he's, more of a fighter who likes to touch his opponents with shots, pepper them instead of putting big power in his punches. Throws a lot of nice jabs. He has a good straight right hand. He will throw hooks to the body, nice front kicks to the body and the head, and he has good lead uppercuts. He'll throw a jab uppercut combination as well, and he has nice step-in knees. He'll grab the plum, throw a knee to the head. In his last match, he was able to land a few nasty flying knees that really hurt Steven Peterson. And Peña is going to be much quicker on the feet. He's just a better athlete here. He's going to have a big reach advantage. And as long as he stays technical, he doesn't get drawn into a war. On the feet, he should piece Weidman up. He does give up the center of the cage. He needs to be careful when he's back past the warning track. I think if he's going to get clipped, it's going to be with him against the fence after Weidman fixes a takedown. But Peña really doesn't have power. But Peterson was rocked, and maybe he's starting to, put more into his shots now. I think if he could sit down on some punches, Matt Weidman's going to run right into him, so you don't need that much power to knock someone out. But he has one career knockout. He's never been knocked out himself. And Peña's a pretty good grappler. He's grinding day in, day out at AKA. And he likes to get fighters against the cage, get fighters thinking about his striking, level change. He has good doubles, solid single legs, and he will, drive opponents to the cage in space with a single and get double underhooks, get a body lock off the cage. Good job using his length to take the back, and he has good back takes from standing position. When he can get his legs, his double legs, when he gets them clamped around, he's good at changing that to a body lock, circling to the back and suplexes. And he doesn't really have a great top control or ground and pound, but even when he takes the back, he tends to allow more experienced fighters to turn in, scramble back to their feet. So I wouldn't really want him to be trying to grapple here with Matt Weidman, but his takedown defense is average. He looks to be improving. He's getting better at countering takedowns against the cage with Kimuras, with guillotines, and I feel that's going to be a huge factor in this fight. I think Weidman puts himself in a lot of position to be guillotined. He could potentially get one. Sometimes he can run out of room in the cage, end up square with his back against the cage, give easy takedowns up. But he is decent off his back. His length allows him to be very tricky on the ground. He has fast hips. He has decent sweeps. He was able to sweep Richie Smolla and then got him in a guillotine. He has a decent triangle Kimura. He has 4 submissions. And he's coming off his first decision win. He showed good cardio. And I think Peña needs to try to use his straight punches, uppercuts, front kicks. Keep Weidman on the outside. He needs to try to use Weidman's aggressiveness against him. Walk him into shots. He can't allow Weidman to back him up near the cage where he could throw punches, or he could, go for takedowns, and he should attack with a guillotine to defend the takedown attempts. And I think if he could control the center and make Weidman pay for his wild striking, he should win this fight pretty easily. But Weidman, he was a good fighter in his time. He was 10-5 in the UFC, fought from 2007 to 2014, and he's beaten some guys, Mac Danzig, Paul Sass, Cole Miller. He's definitely the more experienced fighter, and he's aggressive, he's a grinder. His footwork and movement, I don't really like. He's choppy, slow. He really struggles to close the distance. Wing shots on the feet. And he shows no fear, but, just doesn't, throw from the right distance, But he has solid leg kicks. He will wing right and left hooks. He has a heavy overhand right, and he has big power in his punches. If he can land one of those wild shots, he definitely can knock you out. He will try to slip shots, return with the left hook, right hook combination. He also will throw lead elbows, Superman punches. And when he can get his wrestling going, that's when his striking becomes better, because that's when he can start faking the level changes. And he always comes over the top with punches. Really, he'll also come over the top with nice elbows. He doesn't throw any setup, so he'll overextend. He'll off-balance himself with winging shots. And he likes to plod forward with a high guard, which leaves him susceptible to body shots. He was also slow. He struggles to close the distance, and, that was 5 years ago. So now, think about how he closes that distance. It probably isn't even as good as back then. But he did have a fairly good chin. He had tenaciousness. He had heart. And, he did take some damage. He'd been knocked out twice. He has 4 knockouts himself, but he's a grinder. He's a tenacious wrestler. He's average in the clinch. He does have good physicality. And against weaker fighters, he can land elbows, knees, look for body locks, look for trips. But his defense in the clinch is not good. He leaves himself susceptible to elbows, knees. He was knocked out badly by clinch elbows against TJ Grant. He does have a good single leg, and I wouldn't say he has elite wrestling. He leaves his head in position to be guillotined. Opponents have been able to sprawl, deny takedowns on him. But he doesn't mind being on his back either. He's very active with submissions, good guillotines, triangles, arm bars. He will pull guard. He'll also attack with omoplatas to sweep to top position. When he does get takedowns, though, he's very good on top. He has heavy elbows, big punches. He can bloody opponents up. And he'll slow cook opponents, beat them up, pressure past the dominant positions. And he isn't a big submission threat, but he prefers ground and pound. He has 5 submissions. He's never been submitted, and he used to have good cardio. He had the pressure and the pace to break fighters, and he left the sport, it seemed, due to back injury. I'm not sure what he's been doing in the interim. There's really nothing online in regards to how he's training, what he's been doing the past 4.5 years, and This is a tough fight stylistically for Weidman. He needs to come in improved here to win. He has to make this fight ugly, get inside, close the distance with his winging shots, get in on the legs. Peña has shown quit before, and if Weidman can get him, down, maybe even cut him, he could put doubts in Peña. He has to get at least a couple of takedowns to win this fight, in my opinion. And he does throw full power. He always has that puncher's chance. He also brings the element of surprise, but I think Peña's going to win easily here. He's going to be too athletic, too long for Weidman. I think the wild overhands and the takedowns isn't going to cut it anymore. With the line, I can't play Peña, but I think that he's going to be able to get a TKO or a guillotine win here. I just think that he's the better fighter, and I think that, his rhythm is, and just the time that he's been fighting more recently is going to help as well. So I'm going to go with Luis Peña via second round guillotine in this fight. And up next, we have an awesome fight, one of the best fights on the card, in my opinion, with Dan Egay against Kevin Aguilar. And Kevin Aguilar, he's had a great start to his UFC career. He's 2-0 with 2 wins over very tough competitors. And a win here would earn him a top 15 opportunity, in my opinion. And Aguilar, he's, a tactical brawler with big power in his right hand. Much more of a counterpuncher. He tries to use louder movement, walk opponents into his punches. He has a very good jab, decent low leg kicks. Good job leaping in with nice left hooks. He has a devastating overhand right and a right hook. And he'll throw the overhand right at range, his right hook in the pocket. And he's willing to sit down and trade shots. He'll throw straight punches into combinations in the pocket with hooks, with uppercuts. He has a nice straight left to a right uppercut combination. He'll attack the body with punches very well. He'll also throw the occasional body or head kick, but he isn't much of a kicker. Tends to allow himself to get backed up early, get reads, and by the end of the fight, he's the one doing the stalking going forward. In his last fight, he was doing a much better job using footwork to control the center of the cage. He isn't overly athletic, but he's deceptively fast. His power must always be respected, and he'll throw punches and bunches in close range. He can also eat big shots, continue to march forward. He is hittable. He doesn't move his head much, but he could take a shot. And he has 10 KO TKOs. He's only been finished by strikes 1 time. Aguilar isn't an offensive grappler, really. He prefers to fight on the feet, but he can get back to the cage. But his power makes opponents hesitant to get inside. He'll time nice uppercuts, counter level changes. Great underhooks he uses to defend takedowns. Even though he puts himself against the cage, he's always circling. It's hard to get a hold of him there. He does a great job denying the clinch entries. He's fought back-to-back grinders with great wrestling, and he's not been controlled on the ground 1 time. He was able to defend all the takedowns of Rick Glenn and Enrique Barzola. He doesn't go for takedowns himself very much, but he will try to get a double or a body lock against the cage at times. When he dropped Rick Glenn, he did show a solid top game. He was able to move to dominant positions. He postured. He landed some big shots. He also showed good floating ability. And as Glenn tried to scramble back to his feet, he didn't allow him to do that. Aguilar isn't really a submission threat. He just has 1 submission in his career, but he's never been submitted. And he's a blood and guts fighter, man. He's laser focused. He's unwavering in his pursuit for victory. And his cardio is very good. He can keep the same pace, if not pick up the pace over 3 rounds. He's going to want to have the same game plan he did in his last fight. Control the center with jabs, with straight punches, with this louder movement. His 1-2 is a piston. A straight right hand has one-shot knockout power as well. And he will throw in bunches when opponents try to get inside, time uppercuts very well to counter level changes. He has to be ready to defend more blast doubles from space. In his last 2 fights, he had to be more worried about defending clinch takedowns. But if he can just systematically break Egay down with his boxing, I think the longer the fight goes, the more it favors Aguilar. But Dan Egay, he's been looking like a beast. He has won 3 straight UFC fights. He finished 2 of them in less than 1 minute and 30 seconds. And both of these fighters, are extremely intense individuals. Definitely should be a war here. I don't expect Egay to have another quick night for sure. Egay is a solid striker. He likes to slowly plod forward. He puts pressure on opponents. He has a good jab, decent leg kicks. He likes to use his pressure to draw out shots and counter. He has a very nice counter straight right hand. He will counter with a left hook straight right hand combination. He will try to catch opponents with big winging hooks, overhands, and he will counter with big hook and uppercut combinations. He likes to throw a left hook, right hook, right uppercut combination. He'll throw a left hook to the body to a left or right hook upstairs, which is very nice. And he starts very fast early. He can overwhelm people in the beginning by just being, ready to fight. If a fighter closes his distance recklessly or stands in front of him, he can crack. And that's where he's most dangerous against fighters with good movement, who could land, get in, get out. He has some issues. Julio Arce was using feints, forward pressure, and he made Egay go first. Then he was piecing him up on the counter. And Egay will wing big shots. He'll throw shots from way too far out. Walks into big punches and kicks. And fighters who could stay long, throw straight down the middle and angle are more than likely going to beat Egay. Egay does have a strong chin. He's scrappy. He's a Hawaiian. And he won't quit in there. You have to put him out for sure. He has 3 knockouts. He's never been finished by strikes. And he's a tremendous grappler. He's a strong wrestler with a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And he has a crushing top game. He's a finisher in top position. Good double legs, good body locks. He will elevate on double legs, move directly into side control. He moves quickly to the mount. He'll take the back. He lands brutal ground and pound. He does a good job flattening opponents out. He has good control. He doesn't really have the greatest rear naked chokes, though. He kind of struggles to stick the submission. He can get too over aggressive trying to take the back, get reversed as well. He also can get too high in the guard and get shucked off in the back, or too high on the back, I'm sorry. Off his back, though, he will look to get wrist control, look for triangles. He'll attack in his guard. He'll try to roll for leg locks. He doesn't do the best at controlling posture. Jordan Griffin was able to land some big shots from inside his guard. He is good in the scrambles, though, and when both fighters were gassed in round 3, he was able to gut it out. And Egay has a very quick rear naked choke in his last fight. He has 5 career submissions, and he landed some huge left hands that hurt his opponent. Then he took his back, got the finish. And he does have questionable cardio, though, especially when he's forced to stand up. In this fight, he needs to get takedowns. I feel the best chance he has to win is a quick finish. Aguilar is a fighter who, with strong takedown defense, who gets stronger as the fight goes on. And I feel if he's taken into the deep waters in this fight, Aguilar is going to be the one less for wear. But Egay needs to go forward, cut the cage off, get in on double legs, and if he can get some takedowns, then he could open up punches by faking level changes. And he is fast. I think he's going to be the faster guy in terms of if he can back him up early and, take him out. There's a potential for that just because Danny Egay is fast, he's explosive, and Aguilar does like to put himself against the cage. But this is a great styles clash. Egay is going to want to get Aguilar, get the fence and bomb on him or take him down. And Aguilar's whole game is built around being able to stop that. I think that Egay is going to see how good Aguilar's clinch defense and takedown defense is against the cage and try to shoot doubles in space here. And Aguilar has to be ready for that adjustment, be ready to sprawl, disengage. But I think his jab, his 1-2, his leg kicks are going to be a huge factor in this win. I think for Egay to win, he has to finish probably early. I think that as the fight goes on, the leg kicks, the body shots, the damage from the jabs, the 1-2s are just going to add up, and they're going to slowly just eat apart at Egay. And my pick is going to be Kevin Aguilar via 3rd round KO TKO in this fight. And up next here we have a strawweight fight with Ashley Yoder against Suri Kondo. And Ashley Yoder, she's coming off the decision victory over ABC. And she's a veteran now. She's in her 5th fight in the UFC. All of them have been pretty close. Her last 2 fights have been split decisions. And she's long. She tries to accentuate her reach, but she isn't the greatest striker. She's a bit flat-footed. And I actually thought that in her last fight, she looked like she regressed a little bit. But she will throw a nice 1-2. Her straight hand definitely looked improved and less sloppy against Mackenzie Dern. But like I said, it looked like she regressed a little bit in her last fight. But she has a nice fadeaway overhand right, moving backward. She has a good overhand left hook. And she will throw front kicks to the body, decent inside kicks. And she's aggressive. She will press forward, eat shots, to give shots. Good chin. She walks through shots really undeterred. She doesn't have great speed, and she can get hit clean with faster, tighter punches. But in this fight, I think she has the faster hand speed and foot speed, and she hits harder. Even though she has 0 TKOs, she did show some power there against Mackenzie Dern. And I think that, she was saying that in her fight with ABC, there was a lot of things that didn't go well there. She said her mother was in the hospital the day of the fight, that she couldn't have her corner there, and I do remember that. She was cornered by Pat Barry, and that corner where, she obviously didn't have any training with them. So, I do think that maybe that's why she didn't have the best performance, but she's a strong grappler. She is a good jiu-jitsu player. She likes to get a single collar clinch, and when opponents are pressuring, and she has a solid head and arm throw, she will try to get in the clinch grind for takedowns against the cage as well. And she's no stranger to diving on submissions from standing position or on the ground. Very aggressive with her submission game. She'll try to jump on the back. Her fight IQ isn't the best, though. She will try to take the back too hastily at times, end up on bottom. And on her back, she's comfortable, and she will throw up submissions, but she can get grinded out. But she is good at, creating scrambles, ending up in top position. She has good ground and pound and a good mount. She'll rain down decent shots from there. She definitely has good cardio, and, she's going to continue to come forward for the whole fight. And she has decent power. I feel like she's scrappy. All three of her UFC fights that she's been in more recently have been very close. And she isn't an easy out for anyone. Angela Hill had a very close fight with her. And, she's very durable. I feel like she's mentally tough. She doesn't quit. And I see Yoder trying to counter her 1-2. Counter with her 1-2 and her overhand right. I think that she definitely hits harder, and she has the faster hand speed. I also think that she has the faster feet. She controls distance better. I think that she should try to use the clinch when Kondo plods forward, try to take her down, and I think she may be able to take her down with head and arm throws and single legs. If she takes Kondo down, I haven't seen Kondo off of her back at all, really, and she could potentially be submitted quickly, or, she could show something, but Yoder has 4 submissions. She's never been submitted. She trains at a good gym at Team Quest, and she's, going to be ready to try to get her first 2-fight win streak here. But Suri Kondo, she's lost 2 straight since winning her UFC debut, and she most likely needs a win here to avoid being cut. Kondo had her first 6 fights in Japan. She was 6-0 there. She's had to travel to 2 different countries for her last 2 fights. She lost both of those, and this is going to be her first fight in the United States, and historically, Japanese fighters have had a lot of trouble adapting to fighting in the United States, coming over with that flight. But Kondo's a tough chick. She brings the pressure. She doesn't really cut fighters off, but she chases. She'll walk them down, constantly throwing volume. If there's one thing you can really give Kondo credit for, it's cardio. Her striking isn't super dangerous or technical. She's stiff. She likes to spam 1-2s, front kicks. She has decent leg kicks. She will throw spinning attacks in the pocket, spinning back fists, spinning kicks to the body. She'll try to counter in close range with left and right hooks. And it looks like to me she jams a lot of her punches by getting too close to her opponents. She doesn't really extend, and I don't think she has much power. And, since she chases instead of cutting off the cage, she can get tagged getting inside. Opponents can angle away. She tries to use a high guard, which definitely leaves her susceptible to body shots. We saw that against, who was that? Someone, I can't remember. Botelho knocked her out in the first round with a body shot. She does always come forward, even if she's getting battered, though. She has no quit. We saw that in her fight with Yan Jianan. And she has 1 KO TKO, and she has been finished once due to a body kick. But she's not a great grappler. She will use her punches to close the distance, get the single collar clinch. She has decent knees in that position. She will throw straight punches to the body and the head. She'll also push fighters against the cage. She'll land short knees there, but she struggles to close distance and get in the clinch at times, and she isn't very physically strong. I haven't seen Kondo, have to defend many takedowns or how she is on her back. And Yoder is very good at jiu-jitsu, so it could be tested here. Kondo has no submission. She's never been submitted. And she only fights one way. That's pressuring forward. She's going to want to push the pace, get inside of the looping shots to Yoder, land straight shots down the middle. And she needs to throw a lot of volume, try to be the busier fighter. And I think that Ashley Yoder should win this fight. I think she's the faster fighter, controls the distance better on the ground, better on the feet, hits harder. And I'm going to say Yoder wins a decision. I think she's going to get takedowns. I think she's going to outstrike Kondo. And I'm going to give a shout out real quick to my boy, film industry black belt. I was giving him a little pushback. He told me that, I like Ashley Yoder this week. I'm going to play her. And at first I was saying, I didn't agree. I didn't think that Yoder was playable due to her history in the past. But after running the tape, watching a little bit of fights, I actually put a play on Ashley Yoder myself at -110. So I think that she should get it done here. I really am pretty confident in Ashley Yoder. So hopefully Ashley Yoder gets it done via decision. And up next here we have the return of Big Mouth Kevin Holland. And he's he's won 2 straight fights since losing his UFC debut. So this is a pretty big fight. He's going to be maybe getting a top 15 fighter if he wins this fight. But his last fight was very sloppy. He almost gave it away. But, he's dynamic. He has a great frame. He's much faster for this division than Chirico. And he's just better overall. The problem is his tendency to play around. Eventually doing that's going to lead to losses. But he does a good job staying long. He has a nice jab, good 1-2s, and his straight right hand is accurate. He has a nice check left hook as well. He'll throw long hooks, slaps, and his slaps are kind of funny. He'll mix them into combinations, and they're actually like pretty good at just stopping his opponent, just kind of being like range finders, and he's kind of just stopping the rhythm of his opponent. But he lunges forward a lot. He'll throw jabs, straight hands to the body, and he's very fast in and out, but he can leave his chin high with his hands down, and lunging forward like that, eventually could get you in trouble. And you also lean back at times, use that tall man type defense, but he's very good with his kicks, very nice leg kicks. He'll attack inside, outside. He'll attack oblique kicks to the knees. Very good lead leg. He'll throw a lot of lead leg hook kicks to the body, to the head. Nice round kicks, heavy rear leg kicks to the body. He'll throw a lot of front kicks to the body, to a straight right hand to the head. He did an excellent job of targeting the body of John Phillips. He was able to hurt him multiple times. He was able to open up with jump knees. He started mixing in lead elbows, and he looked pretty good in that fight. He's very good at keeping a high guard, rolling with shots in close range, and he will let opponents hit his guard and then try to time elbows and shots in between their combinations. And that is a bit dangerous because he isn't moving. There's always a chance the right shot slips through the guard. But overall, he's excellent at fighting long, and he's an awkward puzzle to solve. He can get emotional, after he gets hit. He wants to walk forward with his hands down, try to get it back, and that could be a problem, but he's definitely at his best when he's feinting with his lead leg, going forward, using that to set up his punches, and he has 5 knockouts and an excellent chin. He's never been finished by strikes, and he's taken some bombs. But Kevin Holland is a good grappler. He's a brown belt under Dean Lister. Solid body locks, good ground and pound. He was able to get 2 nice double legs in his last fight, but that was against a fighter with not great grappling. But overall, he doesn't look to go for takedowns much or work in the clinch. He will throw the occasional clinch elbow or knee. He will look for standing guillotines. He'll go for flying triangles. And, on top, he will throw hard punches. He'll stand your guard. And due to his length, he can land elbows. He will look to use his length to pass into dominant positions, get into mount. And, I wouldn't say he's super dangerous on top, but he will look to finish the fight, and if you're not good off your back, then he could finish you. He was able to get a rear naked choke against John Phillips. He has good guillotines, good triangles, leg locks off his back. He'll sweep with omoplatas, attack with kimuras, and he's very active wherever he is. You saw that against Gerald Mearshart. His takedown defense was terrible, but he did show the ability to get out of deep submission, scramble with the submission artist. He was able to take the back several times himself. He was able to sweep to top position. And it was just frustrating to see his fight IQ, though, because he had a huge advantage on the feet. And he wouldn't disengage in the grappling when opportunities were presented. He kind of just allowed Mearshart to potentially win the fight. I mean, a very close fight where he could have made it easy, but he has 6 submissions. He's only been submitted 1 time. And Holland is just very relaxed in the cage. He's extremely hard to finish. Great cardio. And you should try to use that louder movement early. Make Chirico gun shy by making him miss and making him pay. And once Chirico is hesitant to throw, then he can go forward, start to pick him apart. And I think you should look to keep it on the feet, be ready to sprawl. I do think he has better jiu-jitsu. He may find a sweep or submission, but his biggest edge is on the feet once again here. But Alessio Chirico is returning after nearly a year off. He's coming off a split decision win over Julian Marquez, which was a war. And he's won 3 fights in a row. He's really improved his striking. He's more fluid than he was at the start of his career. He has a pretty snappy jab, good left hook, and he's good at circling away from his opponent's power hand. He'll walk him into the shots that he wants. He'll try to walk opponents into left hooks, left body kicks, inside leg kicks. He has a good right hook, left straight combination. He'll also throw nice elbows in close range. And when he's going forward, he likes to throw a lot of overhand rights into clenched knees. And he really struggles to get inside, though, when he's forced to be an aggressor. He's stiff, he's slow on the feet. And he likes to, back you up, but he kind of chases instead of cutting you off. He did knock out Aliwali Bamboche recently with a big clenched knee. But overall, I don't think he has huge power. He doesn't have the greatest defense either. Fighters can cut him off, make cage small, can land big shots on him. He doesn't have good enough speed to trade in the pocket with most guys. He was hurt and hit with some big shots against Julian Marquez. He does have 5 KO TKOs. He's never been finished by strikes, but Chirico is improving as a grappler. He had a few takedowns in his last fight. Very good timing on his single legs. He cuts the angle well. He'll use a single to drive opponents to the fence, transition to a double, and he can get elevation on those takedowns. But his top game is underwhelming. He doesn't have the great control or submission defense. He was put in a tight armbar in his last fight, and he also leaves his head in places where he can get guillotined. He isn't great at cementing top position, and opponents have been able to scramble back to their feet pretty easily. He seemed to tire in round 3 against Julian Marquez after not being able to hold him down after getting 2 takedowns. In this fight, I think he has to wrestle, though, be able to control Holland on the mat. He has to have seen Holland's last fight where he looked terrible in his takedown defense. He was complaining about fighting wrestlers. And he's shown, heavy ground and pound before, but not in the UFC. He's shown a submission game, but not in the UFC as well. I definitely feel Holland is better with his jiu-jitsu than Chirico. And, Chirico does have 4 submissions, but they're pre-UFC. He was submitted by Eric Spicely in his lone submission loss, and I think he should look to counter, walk Holland into takedowns. He can't exchange with Holland or open up too much because he's at a severe speed disadvantage. He has to use his louder movement to land well-timed left hooks, kicks, eventually duck under for a single leg. If he can get Holland on his back, he needs to just worry about control. Once he cements position, he has to do enough for the ref to just let him work, but I think he has to be conservative because Holland is tricky with his jiu-jitsu, with his sweeping game, and using a heavy top pressure game is probably Chirico's best chance at victory, kind of a lay and pray style. But man, I feel like Kevin Holland should really dominate and finish this fight if he comes in seriously. He's fighting a flat-footed fighter who's stiff, should be able to use his speed, use his kicks, keep him on the outside, and just smash him, man. He also is a better grappler. The only way I see him losing this fight is if he gives it away, which, it's possible, but I will give Holland one more chance to show his potential here, and I'm going to say he gets a win via round 2 guillotine. But if he doesn't get a win here, even if he wins kind of a close decision in similar fashion to his last fight, it might be 3 strikes you're out for me in terms of Holland and competing with the upper echelon. But man, on paper, Kevin Holland should dominate this fight. So I'm going with Kevin Holland via second round guillotine here. And up next year, we have a flyweight fight with, some pretty big implications here. Both these girls are undefeated. They'll probably get, a top 5 fighter if they can get the win here. But Andrea Lee, she looked impressive in her last fight. She had a dominant victory over Ashley Evans-Smith. And she's 2-0 so far in the UFC. A win here would probably get her a top 15 fighter, or top 15 ranking and a top 5 opponent. And, these two girls have trained together multiple times, Montana De La Rosa and Andrea Lee. And they were kind of forced in this fight. I heard Lee talking about how initially she didn't want to take it, neither did De La Rosa, but they both needed to fight, so here they are. And, Lee is athletic, she hits hard, and she has a good jab, nice leg kicks, a good right hook, left hook combination, nice uppercut, shovel hook, and she will, try to throw those to start combination. She's very good at throwing that shovel hook and then throwing straight punches, hooks, following it up. And she's good at slipping punches, returning with body shots. She will counter with a lot of left hooks, overhand rights. She has a solid round and front kicks to the body. And she's good at blocking, catching kicks, and returning with her own. She keeps the volume high. She's always coming forward. And she is stiff at times. She can throw kicks that aren't set up. She can be countered. And she has a great chin, though. She'll continue to press forward. I haven't really seen her rocked. And she has 2 KO TKOs. She's never been finished by strikes. And she's a beast for the division, man. She's extremely strong. She dominates in the clinch. She has nasty knees to the body and the head. And she just maneuvers these girls around. She's able to land trip takedowns, head and arm throws. She's very good at getting a tight waist, circling to the back, getting suplexes. Great cardio. She wears these girls out in the clinch with her grappling. She has a very heavy top game. She likes to pressure past the dominant positions. She likes to get the crucifix from side control. She's a great back taker. Exit control from the back. Even if she's high on the back, she can readjust. She flattens most of her opponents out. She also uses a full Nelson position to flatten them out. She's good at transitioning from the back position to an arm bar. And she has a big ground and pound from there. She has good rear naked chokes as well. Strong takedown defense. I really don't think De La Rosa is going to take her down or hold her down consistently. Lee's also very good at bellying down into a single leg when she's taken down and getting back up. She'll also attack with triangles, arm bars in her guard, and she has 4 submissions. She has been submitted 1 time. And Lee's going to need to come forward, bring the pressure. She should throw kicks early and often, leg kicks. And, De La Rosa is heavy on that lead leg. I could see her damaging it. I think she needs to get De La Rosa in the clinch, throw big knees. And if she can rough her up, take her down, she's going to tire her out, in my opinion. Nico Montano was able to control her on the mat, beat her up in the clinch. And I think Lee could do that too. But Montano De La Rosa, she's 3-0 in the UFC. She was also on Tough 26. She lost to Nico Montano, who eventually won. And she has 3 finishes in her 3 UFC wins, all by submission. So if she can get another win here, 4 wins in a row, especially if she can get a finish, that would be very impressive. But De La Rosa is a strong wrestler. She's an experienced fighter. Her striking is much improved. She's long. She tries to accentuate her reach by throwing a jab, her head movement, her lateral footwork. She's a bit flat-footed still, though, and fighters who are good strikers with takedown defense are going to give her problems, in my opinion. She will throw nice check left hooks, left hook, right hook combinations in the pocket. She mixes in uppercuts with her hook combinations, and she will throw occasional front kicks to the body, which I feel she should do more. She is tough. She's willing to take shots to get inside. She was coming forward with the Crimson Mask against Nico Montano. Like half her face was filled with blood, but she doesn't have great power. She's never won a fight by KO, TKO, and she's only been finished once by TKO against Cynthia Calvillo. But De La Rosa, she's a good grappler. She's strong in the clinch. She has good body locks. She's good at digging an underhook, and she's physically strong in the clinch. She'll use her length to get body lock trips. She has good control against the cage. She'll throw knees to the body, elbows to the head. She has solid Muay Thai plum clinch, and she also wears fighters out in the clinch, but she will, she likes to circle to the back and get standing back takes. And in this fight, though, I just feel like she won't be able to overpower Lee in the clinch. And when she was out-muscled herself in the clinch versus Nico Montano, it didn't bode well for her. Montano was able to land some big knees to the body, get several takedowns. She was able to pass De La Rosa's guard, control her on the ground, land some big ground and pound. De La Rosa will try to catch guillotines on takedown attempts. She has an active guard, so if Lee's on top of her, she has to be careful. But I think she's not going to be able to do much off her back against Lee, though, because she struggles with top pressure, and Lee is one of the best top pressures in the division. She has opportunities to get scrambles, and she will dive on submissions. She was able to survive a deep armbar, then transition right into the back to a rear naked choke against Rachel Ostovich. And she has earned her last 4 wins via submission. She has 8 submissions overall, and she has been submitted just 1 time by Mackenzie Dern. And in this fight, I think De La Rosa actually could have success with her jab and her straight punches. She has to be sharp, use her footwork to counter Lee. If she can counter Lee's leg kicks or straight punches, laying clean, maybe she could stun her. She also needs to try to time takedowns off of Lee's kicks. And if she can take top position, she may be able to out-scramble Andrea. But I could see her getting a submission also as Lee tries to give her back to stand up. But I think that Lee should get the win here, maybe even get a finish. I think her striking is better. She throws more volume. She hits harder. I think she's also stronger in the clinch. She's a better wrestler. And I see her being able to walk De La Rosa down, make the cage small, get in the clinch, beat her up with her kicks, with her leg kicks, with her body kicks. And I see her taking her down, landing some big shots from top position. And I'm going to say Andrea Lee via 3rd round TKO in this fight. And up next here, we have another really close, interesting fight, in my opinion. I think now the line is crazy. All the value has to be on Randy Brown now, right? But, Brian Barberena, he upped his stock in his last fight. He lost Fight of the Year candidate against Vicente Luque. And, he looked good at that fight, but he was knocked out in the final seconds. And Luque is on an 8-fight win streak. He's a dark horse of the division. So for Barberena to push him like that, that was impressive. But he definitely needs to bounce back with the win here. Or that'll all be for naught, really. But he comes in pretty solid favor against Randy Brown. And, Barberena has good inside leg kicks. He'll throw powerful hooks, overheads. And, he's all about forward pressure. He wants to load. He wants to, load up, go forward, deliver big shots in the pocket. He has a nasty right hook, and it's a very powerful shot. He dropped Leon Edwards with a right uppercut that was very hard. He's good at timing that as fighters close the distance. And he will use the jab to create openings for his hook combinations along with attacking the body. He will throw occasional body and head kicks, and he needs to be inside to be effective, and he knows it. He's tough, he's rugged, he's willing to walk down opponents, eat big shots to give his own, get inside. He has nice elbows in the pocket. He also keeps the volume of shots very high. He has quick hands, tight combinations. He's good at peppering with his jab to just keep the volume on you, just keep you, going backwards. He's the one landing, and then he'll mix into big shots. He also circle the cage, force opponents to walk him down, where he'll trade with them when they're against the cage. And he has a great chin. He can wear opponents out by staying to their face, taking what they can give and still being there. His last fight with Luke was just epic. He has 10 knockouts, and he's only been finished by strikes one time. He's shown a granite chin, but he took a ton of damage in his last match, and that could have been, a life changer. But Barberena, he's a decent grappler, but not great. He has good clinch work, gets the cage. He can reverse position, work from there. Short knees, punches. He doesn't go for many takedowns, but if he does, when he's on top, he has decent control. He was able to get an arm triangle against Sage Northcutt, and he has good takedown defense, especially against the cage. He'll make opponents pay with elbows, knees in the clinch while denying the takedowns. And even if he gets taken down, he never accepts position. He's always trying to get back to his feet. He was able to get up multiple times against Colby Covington, who's a premier wrestler in the UFC. He did give his back, though, to Leon Edwards. And Leon Edwards, to me, kind of is a similar fighter to Randy Brown. He's much more polished. But, he has good cardio. He does slow bet in the third round, in my opinion. But Barberena's going to need to make this fight ugly. He's going to have to work off his jab, keep the volume high, pepper his opponent. He needs to hand fight to create openings for elbows, short punches in close range. And he can't be backing up in this fight. Brown is faster, longer, probably has a cleaner technique. And I think he would lose a decision or get knocked out in that type of fight. I think he should attempt takedowns, even if he can't get them, just to open up potential shots, coming over the top. And if he can, even potentially getting some top control. I definitely think if this becomes a dogfight, that Barberena is going to most likely prevail. But Randy Brown needs a win badly here. He's lost 2 or 3 fights. A loss here may be the end of his UFC run. He's taken almost a year off after getting knocked out. And he was also knocked out with hammer fist from the bottom, which I've never seen before. It's almost like a freak finish. But, he's a great athlete. He has a long frame. He has the intangibles to be an elite fighter. He just needs to put it all together in the cage, fight on the night. And, Brown is well-rounded. He has good striking. He has a very nice jab, good 1-2, nice front kicks to the body. He fights long. He'll throw a nice 1-2 left hook or a double jab left hook, good hand speed. And when he gets his range and opponents on the back foot, he puts combinations together beautifully. He has great knees and kicks. He finishes combinations with those. He'll throw nice inside-outside leg kicks, good head kicks, front kicks to the body, to the head. Very nice knees to the body and the head, step-in knees, tie clinch knees. And when you let him start walking you down, getting his range, his confidence, he starts getting tough to beat. He's athletic, he's fast, keeps a high volume of strikes out there, and he doesn't, do as well fighting off the back foot, though. He can get backed up close to the cage. He could stand up tall, and he leaves his chin in the air a little bit. He doesn't get hit too much, though. His defense is sound. He's been knocked out just one time. And that knockout, like I said, was almost a freak occurrence on the ground. He has 5 KO TKOs himself, but Brown is an improving grappler. He's good at using his length to his advantage. He has nice clinch control, nice knees, body, head. He will shoot nice double legs, sometimes from way too far out, but he's very good at transitioning those double legs into a body lock. He'll use the double leg to come up into double underhooks or a tight waist and either take the back or just dump opponents with a clinch takedown. He prefers to keep position over submission. He has good ground and pound. He has, his length allows him to stand over opponents, throw punches from their guard, or nice hard elbows. He was able to cut Mickey Gall with an elbow. And he can't get caught against the cage. He can get double-legged himself. Like I said, he stands a bit tall in his stance. But he has good takedown defense, though, actually. He has heavy hips. He has nice double underhooks. He has nice front chokes he'll use to counter takedown attempts. And he's good at making the opponents go to their backs when he uses the chokes and taking top position. And off his back, he'll also attack with guillotines, with triangles, with the arm bars. But he's just too complacent on the ground. He doesn't have the best get-ups. Both of the times he's been finished were on the mat. he's a tough guy. He's hard to submit. He trains at Sarah BJJ. He's trains with the Danaher Death Squad. And I would say he has underrated jiu-jitsu. He's been submitted one time. He has 3 submissions. Brown needs to control the center, fight long. If he can use his kicks, straight punches to go forward, be in and out, he'll probably finesse Barberena here. He can't, stand flat-footed and trade with Barberena. He has to stay on his bike. I think he should try to look to mix in takedowns, clinch control as well. I've seen Leon Edwards take his back, and Brown is good at taking the back. If Brown can, make it a technical fight, not a brawl, that's his best chance to win here. And this is a very close fight. I think the line, like I said, is crazy. I think Brown is better everywhere technically, but Barberena has that volume, the power, the heart. And Brown has poor fight IQ at times. He's been known to give away fights. But this fight is a must-win for Randy Brown. He's taking almost a year off. He might be fighting for his career here. I think he's going to come in sharp. I think early on he's going to be using his kicks, straight punches to back Barberena up, even land some big shots near the cage. I think that maybe he can get some takedowns, but he has to come in shape, ready to know that, this is a guy that's not going to stop coming. He's not going to give up. And I'm going to go with Randy Brown via decision for now. But this is a fight I could potentially change my mind on Friday. But right now, for now, I'm going with Randy Brown via decision in this fight. And up next here, we have a rematch with John Lineker against Rob Font. And this is a great fight. Rob Font looked phenomenal with his boxing, man. I mean, I really liked his boxing against Sergio Pettis, the way he was keeping that distance, the way he was just sniping him from the outside. And that's what he needs to do here. He already had a fight with John Lineker where he knows what to do. Lineker is a guy who is coming forward the whole time. He's going to be ripping to the body. And, once he starts ripping to that body, he slows people down. And that's when he can go up top to the head. He can get you near that cage, start battering you. And his power is legendary, man. I mean, he has some of the best power in the smaller divisions in the history of the UFC. And Rob Font already felt that power and he got spooked a little bit. I mean, in the first fight, it was a lot of John Lineker walking him down and Rob Font just being defensive here. So you have to wonder, if he gets in there again, if he gets hit with a couple shots, is he going to start to remember that last fight where John Lineker was just punking him out with his power? Is he going to start to say, man, I mean, it's happening all over again. This guy just has too big artillery for me. And, Rob Font, he's very technical. He's obviously the more technical fighter here than John Lineker, and his boxing is very good. He's going to have to be angling, using that Corey Sandhagen game plan where he's angling, staying on the outside, using his superior boxing, his footwork to just finesse John Lineker, man. But Lineker, he's a wild man. I mean, he's doesn't care. I just don't see Rob Font having the artillery and the foot speed, the variety in his kicks and all that Corey Sandhagen had to keep Lineker off him for 3 rounds. I just think at some point Lineker's going to start getting to that body. He's going to start, hitting that body hard. I think Font's going to start slowing down. I think he's going to start cutting him off more. I think he's going to start teeing off more against the cage. And, I actually feel like in this fight, since in his last fight with Lineker, I feel like, Font probably feels like he took it easy in that fight. He didn't go for it. So I think Lineker's actually going to TKO him in this fight either in the second or third round, because I do think Rob Font is going to, once he starts to feel that power and feel it starts to get diminished, I think he's going to try to go for it too and trade a little bit with John Lineker because it's going to be like his last gasp. And I think Lineker's going to take him out there. But, if Rob Font is to win this fight, I wouldn't be completely shocked just because he hits hard, and if you keep getting hit over and over and over, I mean, eventually that chin's going to have an expiration date on it. But, we've seen no indication of that with John Lineker. And, I'm just going to go with John Lineker. I think he's going to be able to cut the cage off, land to the body, slow Rob Font down, and then, start picking him apart against the cage with big shots, big punches, and knock him out. So I'm going with John Lineker via third round TKO in that fight. And up next here we have an incredible fight with Renato Moicano and Korean Zombie. And I think this fight's going to be a war, man. I think it's going to be a bout of attrition with these guys because, both these guys have a style where they're going to stand in front of each other, very similar to the Yair Rodriguez against Korean Zombie fight. I mean, those guys are standing right in front of each other for 5 rounds, and Korean Zombie looked super fast in that fight, man. I mean, he was closing that distance really quickly with straight punches. His jab was on fire. He was landing that overhand left that and that right hook, it was like just on the money. I mean, he looked great in that fight, in my opinion. His forward pressure was great. He did get very tired in that fight, and this is going to be 5 rounds as well. And he was very good at, when Yair would throw something, he would counter with 3, 4, 5 punches, close the distance, just jam him. And, Yair was looking phenomenal in that fight as well, but I thought Korean Zombie was well on his way to winning before, he got knocked out with 1 second left with that elbow, which was really crazy. But, Korean Zombie also is very good on the ground. He's going to be dangerous when he closes that distance. He's going to be trying to jump on your back at quick submissions. He isn't really a guy that's going to be going for takedowns, and I don't really think this fight's going to have much grappling, to be honest. I think it's going to be, on the feet. And, Moicano, the thing about Moicano that I think could be successful for him, very successful in this fight, is the leg kicks, because Korean Zombie does stand heavy on that lead leg, and they're going to be standing right in front of each other. So, if he could do enough damage early on to those legs that he diminishes, Zombie a little bit, that could make for a good fight for him. I feel like the jab on both sides is going to be, busting both of them up. I think that, Moicano maybe controls distance a little better. He's taller, but they have the same reach, and I think that Korean Zombie is faster. I think that he hits harder, and I think that, he's more willing to go for it. But the thing is, though, if Moicano can kind of get his range early with the leg kicks, with the jabs, then I think he's going to be able to use his straight punches to catch Zombie as he closes the distance, and he may be able to put him out. And I also think that Moicano should look to try to attack the body with punches, with kicks, and then try to go upstairs. The thing with Korean Zombie is he's very good at catching kicks, but we have seen him knocked out with head kicks before, and if you can get him thinking that the kicks go into the body and go to the head with it, that's probably the easiest way to knock him out. But, obviously that knockout that he had was pretty vicious, against Yoder Rodriguez. He was out for a little while after that knockout, so you have to wonder how he's going to come back, but they don't call him the Korean Zombie for no reason. I don't think he's going to come up with any fear. It's just whether his chin is diminished at all from that. But, this fight to me, it's going to come down to, like I said, a battle of attrition, where I think that Korean Zombie is going to be doing more damage in terms of damage to the face. I think he's going to bloody up the face of Moicano. I think he's going to land some big shots as well in terms of like chin damage, where Moicano maybe gets wobbled a little bit, Moicano gets hurt. But I think Moicano's going to be landing, some punches of his own, and I think he's going to accumulate a lot of leg kicks, man. I really feel like the leg kicks are going to be huge in this fight for Moicano if he is to win. And, I don't see either guy looking for takedowns, like I said. I think it's going to be like in a phone booth in the middle of the ring. I think that, Moicano, if he is to win easily, it's going to be because he got those leg kicks and his jab going early, and then was able to kind of just pick apart Korean Zombie. But if Korean Zombie, I feel like early in the fights, early in the rounds, first, second round, he's going to be very dangerous for Moicano, because Moicano likes to throw a lot of one shot at a time, like one straight right hand, one jab, and he isn't as fast, in my opinion, as Korean Zombie. And I think that, Korean Zombie is going to be coming forward, countering that jab with 3, 4, 5 shots. And, we saw Aldo kind of do an explosive blitz and hurt Moicano in his last fight. So, Korean Zombie could potentially do the same, but I don't think Zombie is obviously as powerful or explosive as Jose Aldo. And, Moicano definitely needs a win. I mean, both these guys need a win here big time. But this is Moicano's first main event. Korean Zombie's a little bit older, but he's only 32 years old. I mean, when you're looking at it, Moicano's 30, so it's not that big of an age gap. I guess it's just, a gap in fighting age. But, Korean Zombie took that time off where he probably doesn't have the same amount of wear and tear as other guys that fought as long as he has, or as early in their careers he has. But, man, I mean, this is a tough fight for me to go off of, just because I think it's going to be close. I think if there's going to be a finish in this fight, I think it's going to be Korean Zombie in the first 3 rounds. I think he's going to knock him out or, drop him, submit him. But I'm going to pick Renato Moicano via decision in this fight. I'm going to say he wins 48-47. I think it's going to be close, back and forth. But I think that Moicano is going to, win one of the early rounds, and then, be able to win the last 2 rounds. I think he's going to have, the sharper technique when they both get tired. So he's going to be able to land the more pinpoint shots and get it done there. So I'm going to say Renato Moicano wins via decision in this fight. But I'm not going to be betting on this fight. I don't have a good read. And I really, have been going back and forth and back and forth. And, Korean Zombie's one of my favorite fighters. So, to be honest, I hope he wins the fight. But can't be biased here, so I'm going to go with Renato Moicano via decision. And for the parlay of the week, I'm going to do Ashley Yoder and Kevin Holland for now. But I'm thinking I'm going to change Yoder to Winn. So on Friday, I'll let you know about that. But, yeah, and for my most confident pick of the night, I guess I'm going to go with Peña to be the most confident pick of the night. And, yeah, guys, so make sure to comment, like, subscribe on the video. And I also did a Dana White Contender Series breakdown, so the odds are out for that now. So make sure to check that out. Watch that tomorrow. It's going to be, the first one of the year. And, tell me who you like, who you're betting on, if you agree with the picks, what you disagree with, and, anything you think I could do to make the video better, more fun to watch, more fun to listen to. So let me know. I want to know what you guys think about this week's card as well. So hopefully we could all cash our bets this week, and have a good night of fights.